How was your day today? What will you do when you don't have to do anything? I'll go to sleep. That was the immediate answer that popped into my head, a silly response that would surely make many shake their heads in dismay. The typical answer to that question should be, I'll read a book, learn a new language, or take on some extra work. The difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary lies in how one uses their free time. Free time after work can create talented individuals, but it can also create the lazy, the addicted, and the gamblers. This not only creates a difference in work performance, but also a disparity in the level of success in life. Typically, the time after 6 p.m. determines whether you live an ordinary life or achieve greatness. That's when we finish school and work, meaning we have complete control over this period of our lives. So, what do you usually do in the time after 6 p.m.? Many choose to exhaust themselves, refusing to let their bodies rest, diving into overtime, and leaving the office at 1 or 2 a.m. Many others are busy binging a show, sprawling on the bed, scrolling through TikTok, or lingering at cafes with friends. Outsiders often judge this as what useless people do. Time is precious, they say, and those under 30 who don't own a house or car, whose success lags behind their parents' aging, or who are young yet unemployed, are seen as discarded. Time is often deemed useless when it produces no value. A year without earning money, a year without new achievements at work, a year of poor academic results, a year without owning anything valuable, that's considered useless. I used to be someone who thought sleeping in was pointless, and lounging at home all day watching movies was a waste. I even complained about how anglers could sit by a lake all day just to catch a few fish, calling them tycoons of peculiar hobbies, or people with nothing to do. But later, I realized that those who choose to sleep do so because they haven't had a full night's rest in a long time. Those who choose to watch movies might be trying to escape reality. Those who choose to fish might be seeking a moment of peace in their minds after a hectic, worrisome stretch of days. Ultimately, these are their ways of rebalancing lost energy. At first glance, they might seem listless, but in reality, they are practicing Wu Wei. The philosophy of Lao Tzu mentions the concept of Wu Wei, where Wu means know and Wei means action. Loosely translated, it means doing nothing. People who live by Wu Wei are often serene and tranquil, always in a pristine state of mind, unburdened by worries, not frantic or hurried. Everything flows naturally and gently like water. For example, when witnessing a tiger catching a deer, if we shoot the tiger to save the deer, we might kill a whole litter of tiger cubs waiting for their mother's meal. If we help the tiger catch the deer more easily, we would be wronging the deer. But if we simply let events unfold naturally, that is the most virtuous path. We do nothing, allowing nature to grow and perish on its own. Heaven and earth naturally operate in cycles. If we interfere with any element, we upset that cycle. If we do nothing, we ensure the cycle continues to function normally. Therefore, on days when we don't know what to do or how to solve problems, Lao Tzu suggests it's best to do nothing at all. This philosophy initially sparked much debate, with many believing that Wu Wei fosters laziness and passivity. For them, Wu Wei, having action is necessary. One must do something, act, to move forward positively and achieve success. Doing nothing is labeled as negative, lacking ambition or drive. In an action-oriented culture, doing nothing feels foolish. Has anyone ever done nothing and become a millionaire? In reality, Wu Wei does not convey a message of giving up, letting go, or laziness. Wu Wei does not encourage apathy or indifference, like ambitionless ghosts. Instead, it encourages us to release expectations and savor each moment as it unfolds. One of the core tenets of Wu Wei is learning to wait and observe. In other words, consider it a form of energy conservation, a crucial skill for everyone, much like trow-proofing, a training technique for both swimmers and non-swimmers taught since the last century. In trow-proofing, the person relaxes their body in the pool, moving their limbs as they wish, as long as they find a way for their head and chest to float above the water. The key to this exercise is, to float up and breathe, you must allow yourself to sink to the bottom of the pool first. Initially, I was quite averse to the philosophy of Wu Wei. While I knew patience was a good virtue, it was never my strength, especially in a society where talented people are everywhere, and life is a hurried, bustling carousel of responsibilities. How could one calmly and leisurely sit still and fish? I knew I was just an average person, average looks, passable talent, and very ordinary finances. Countless times, I looked up at the exceptional people around me, then looked down at myself, sighing endlessly. Because of that, I always put pressure on myself, setting goals and striving for achievement. I was full of enthusiasm, urging myself to utilize this youthful time to work. However, in recent years, I've realized that my constant busyness, anxiety, and restlessness when I had nothing to do was just a form of toxic productivity. It's a mindset and state of ceaseless work, even during leisure time, leading to physical and mental exhaustion. When I sat down at my desk, I found nothing but emptiness and a body devoid of strength. That's when the facade of achievement crumbled, making way for questions about what I was truly pursuing. I clearly saw that I wasn't happy, wasn't content, couldn't smile. And this was the moment I needed to stop and do nothing. Many also believe that Wu Wei is only for the wealthy, for those born with a silver spoon who can afford to do nothing, while the hungry must work. However, it needs to be reminded that Wu Wei is not about giving up or not working. It's a pause to rebalance energy, a rest to move forward. Remember that everyone's capacity for focused effort is limited. When we focus on one thing, we inevitably lose focus on another, especially in this era of information overload. It's hard to choose and concentrate on one thing, leading to a loss of rationality and clarity. Those who know how to observe and wait will resolve situations with ease. We define productivity as creating something new, yet we don't view maintenance and care as equally productive. Rest might not seem productive at first glance, and we might feel it isn't, but if we integrate it into our daily lives, we'll gain a more positive perspective, work more efficiently, and make life better. Because human nature is inherently active and lively, with a tendency to embrace things that make us happy and distract us. But most of us cannot persevere to the end, resulting in more chaos the more we do. Doing things chaotically has a far greater negative impact than doing nothing. Therefore, before every important stage in my life, I choose to sit still, observe, and focus, ready for the challenge. Some people share that they also wish they could practice Wu Wei for peace of mind, but whenever they see loved ones around them being slow and sluggish, they get furious and urge them back to reality. This scenario is not uncommon in families. The wife is tirelessly busy, taking care of everything, waking up early to cook, clean, and manage the household while the children sleep until the last minute, then slowly get up, their heads still in the clouds. The wife, boiling with rage, might scold and complain. A new day begins with negative emotions that, over time, lead to mental exhaustion. How should one deal with this? Personally, I haven't experienced this situation, so I might not fully comprehend the emotions of the people involved. It's always easier to observe from the outside, so you might try to step back and observe and then practice deep looking. What is deep looking? It's not just witnessing, but looking to see what lies at the root, at the original cause, to find the reason and address it together. For instance, when deep looking, you might see that a slow child could be experiencing a rhythm disorder. Parents often judge their children by their own standards. In reality, a child's capabilities cannot naturally match an adult's. When parents rush their children, they disrupt the child's natural rhythm. The more children struggle to keep up with adult pace, the slower they become. Instead of forcing children to act immediately, give them buffer time to prepare and develop an intuitive sense of time. Agree on the day's tasks with them beforehand, and gradually, the child will change. When practicing deep looking, the husband and children won't just see the food mother cooked on the table. They will see the process. Mother waking up early to go to the market, meticulously washing vegetables, carefully selecting ingredients, then coming home to prepare, cook, fry, and sauté in hot oil, sweat beading on her forehead, seasoning repeatedly. That steaming meal on the table is a whole sky of love, her entire heart poured into it. From there, they will feel love for the person who cooked for them, seeing this meal not just as food, but as a precious gift. They will feel gratitude and offer mother sincere words of love and encouragement. When we look deeply, we will see that everyone is fighting their own battles. We will feel compassion, empathy, and know what to let go of. In my opinion, that is also a part of Wu Wei, pausing to observe and not forcing things, adapting to what is happening rather than fighting the current. Wu Wei guides our boat downstream, allowing us to flow with it. Trying to mold the world to our desired shape wastes a lot of energy and sometimes even leads to disappointment. While ambition and the desire to act remain undeniably important drivers in our lives, we must accept that our plans often don't go smoothly. If one decides not to overthink, they will avoid getting stuck in problems, thereby reducing anxiety, irritability, and insecurity. That said, a good life cannot be achieved solely through Wu Wei. But also, do not distort the concept or use Wu Wei as an excuse for personal laziness. It's true that everyone has their own timeline and shouldn't compare themselves to others, but they're rich at 30, let them be. My fate is to suffer now and only enjoy life at 70 or 80. Does that sound right? Wu Wei should only be seen as a necessary pause. Working in Wu Wei, resting in Wu Wei, thinking in Wu Wei, speaking in Wu Wei. In Wu Wei, not as doing nothing. Fundamentally, Wu Wei indicates that when we don't struggle, when we know how to wait for the right moment and observe, we will discern clearer patterns and make wiser choices. Don't let emotions overly influence your decisions. Accumulate energy, don't waste it on useless things, and wait for the opportunity to unleash it. You will surely succeed. The sky isn't always stormy, nor must birds always be in flight. Stillness will help us act only when necessary. And so, I will sit down again, my breathing steady, my eyes gazing around, enchanted by everything, seeing the sunlight gently on my shoulder. I know.